I love the topic they covered, which is mostly close to my heart as well. Well, Dr. Kevin did my CV earlier, and yeah, you would have noticed that I have always been an enforcement person. So when I was appointed as the Commissioner of Human Rights and Women and Children, it was quite a bit of mind change for me, from an enforcement to human rights. Those who have been in enforcement would know that what I mean is, well, no, it's quite a big jump from that. So, but somehow I learned throughout. It's been 6 years, almost 6 years now in April, and I'm glad this year Summer Institute arranged this topic on trafficking, which, well, has always been one of my passions as an enforcement officer. And well, when I was invited to give a short presentation here, I look at the people who will be attending, and they said it's going to be expert. So I'm always nervous talking to experts. I've always been nervous. The reason is that how much can you add to experts? What things can you add to group of experts? All are experts in the field of trafficking, and that made me nervous. So, and then I take comfort in another way of looking into it, that is sharing. So I thought the experience I have might not be similar to any other expert. That's why I accepted the invitations to talk here. So now I'll be talking in the context of ACWC, where I come from. And at the moment, I'm the current chair of the ACWC. And as Ravendi said, it's a 3-year term. I must tell you, it's quite a suffering. I have been suffering for the last 3 years, and I'm glad that it's going to be over next year in April. But then, it's going to be another trouble. According to our term of reference, I will be the deputy next year. Our relation is funny. We go this way and this way. So, according to alphabetical order, I should be the deputy, which I'm not willing to take next year. 3 years is enough. Okay, coming back to the topic we have now. I'll go into I prepare some visual aid. I'm more comfortable talking visual aid. So now, then the first slide is there. ASEAN. ASEAN is Anti-Trafficking actor. What I mean here is ASEAN is a group, and we look at ASEAN as a group as an actor. So I'm not going to repeat the data and all that. That's what we have learned for the last 3 days here. Yes, there's no dispute that trafficking is a huge concern in ASEAN. It's also a big problem on the demand, on the supply side. The movement of trafficking is even within ASEAN, not to mention ASEAN Pacific is huge. So has ASEAN done anything in terms of trafficking? Bearing in mind ASEAN is an actor in the anti-trafficking. As a regional efforts. Yeah, of course ASEAN has done. There's declaration, either ASEAN signing declarations as individual countries, or other instruments, signing other instruments. And ASEAN also has produced declaration, and now there's going to be convention. When I talk about ASEAN, it doesn't matter whether it is any pillars of ASEAN. ASEAN has 2 pillars, so we are ASEAN. And Ravendi mentioned about plan of actions. Yes, there are one pillar, one sector in the pillar, sectoral body from plan of action. Ravendi has his plan of action. ACWC has our plan of action. So no doubt, ASEAN has done a lot. And throughout the years, ASEAN has also looked into human rights and ASEAN take into consideration, our ambassador here, I'm sure, will be able to tell us that when ASEAN set up a human rights mechanism, there must be trafficking, must be one of the triggering point, because trafficking is a violation of human rights. So human rights mechanism is intended also to combat trafficking and to make ASEAN as one of the effective actor, I should say. So from my observation, this is my observation, ASEAN approach to trafficking is, well, at the beginning, only on the criminal justice side. That is, you go enforcement that I used to do. Yes, arrest the traffickers. Even the victim we arrest as enforcement officer. Was there? They contravene, because let's say sexual workers, they contravene the law. So arrest them, everybody arrest. Arrest here, prosecute here, prosecute there. And then we look into the aspect of human rights, which make us more, I suppose, I shouldn't say the better side, the sentimental side of us, think of humanity. So there's the human side. So yeah, ASEAN has done something, but the question is now this: in the area of trafficking, and ASEAN is a group. It's ASEAN been an effective actor in this whole area of hunting or eliminating trafficking. I don't think I have to answer this question because we have been looking to it the last week. If we have been effective, maybe the magnitude of trafficking will not be as large as it is now. Or there will be obvious reduction in the severity of trafficking in ASEAN region. So, from my point of view, why ASEAN has not been an effective actor? One is the nature of the crime itself. Trafficking is lucrative trade. Business success in receiving countries benefits very much to cheap provision of services. Like it was mentioned by one of the speakers earlier, the last few days, that, well, young men who migrate to another country need the service of young women. So there's another thing. So the service of young women in that kind of trade become very lucrative. So it is a very lucrative business, and the sending countries also may benefit in terms of things like foreign exchange and of course money being sent to the sending countries and so on. And another aspect which we have, well, many of us have looked into is also the presence of corruption. So corruption is everywhere. So even if you want to talk about being more effective, then there is always somewhere there the corruption of officials. So that is on the economic side. I'm sure many of us here, this is not exhaustive list. I'm sure you have other views as well. So another one is political, and migration, whether legal or through trafficking, lessen domestic pressure for employment costs. So if there is lack of employment in one country, from a political point of view, when your workforce moves to another country, when you cannot suffice the need for work in your country, because domestic pressure is lessened, so lessen pressure for the politicians. So that is one. And of course there are other aspects of politics again, which again, during the discussion later, more and more people will be able to give the example. And another thing is, I believe, is the sovereignty issue. Regional approach. When you talk about combating trafficking regionally, we must be realistic that there is a sovereignty issue as well. Because when you go regional, the by process of negotiations, I'm sure there will be a bit of your sovereignty. You are giving away your sovereignty by joining regional organizations or having a regional approach into certain things, and also in trafficking. And that is one of the issues. And another one is our ASEAN ways. Well, everybody knows what ASEAN ways is. It can hinder regional approach. So ASEAN ways, you achieve everything by consensus. So it's a regional approach on combating trafficking. It takes a long time before it can materialize. And sometimes the ASEAN ways also is related to the sovereignty issues and vice versa. So these two are, to me, they are quite valid why ASEAN has not been very effective. Now to my next slide, which Bapak Rafiq has been, I was also talking about earlier. I call it trafficking because I look at ASEAN as an actor. So, being an actor, there are players in ASEAN within this ASEAN actor. So, oh sorry. Thank you. That is my. This is not. Yes. Human rights. Who are the anti-trafficking players in ASEAN? Human rights mechanism, AICHR, ACWC, ACNW, or should we put ACWC also? Yes, I think there are also human rights actors, mechanism in ASEAN. Another one is other sectoral body, SOMPC, SOMSWAT, even the health section, and even the health, other than health, is even agriculture, all, these are all educations, they are all actors in anti-trafficking work. In a way, they contribute, even if this, SOMPC might be the main, but also, they also actors in this. And we mustn't forget the business entities and the civil society. They are also actors in anti-trafficking. Yes, the second day we listened to a number of the two Global Impact and another organization, business, the civil society groups was doing anti-trafficking work. And we heard about how H&M and another business entities having anti-trafficking measures as well in trying to help ASEAN be a less trafficking, should I say, region. So everybody played their roles. There are actors in this. Okay, and then there was a study years back in which they said there are about more than 150 or 160 actors playing their role in anti-trafficking work in this region, in the Asia Pacific region. That is not the least, but there must be more than that. And one of the problems, the study said, is that all these actors, they don't even know each other. You only know it when you go to the website. So to be honest, I didn't know about Global Compact until the gentleman spoke the other day. So there's so many actors out there in anti-trafficking work. Perhaps there's one reason also why ASEAN is not effective, because we are not able to put people together in doing this work. We spend money there, we spend money there. I work in solo, the other one work in solo, in trying to be doing anti-trafficking work. Perhaps if we pull our socks together, we might get a better ASEAN in terms of trafficking. So this is anti-trafficking players, and when we look at that, there is ACWC there, and there is about the organization or the human rights mechanism I'm supposed to talk about today. So, ACWC. Yesterday we had the breakout session, so we shared this within our small groups. And my colleagues here, there are many ACWC representatives here. Please add to the discussion yesterday. This is related to our small group. Whether how ACWC can play its role in anti-trafficking work. So, ACWC is an intergovernmental body. Intergovernmental. We are government. Yes, the intergovernmental thing speaks for itself. We work within our mandate, and it is our mandate is in this book, which was actually formulated by other people. And when I came to ACWC, it's already, look, that's your preference. So I adhere to this. Okay, this is our Bible or our Quran. Okay, so now in this little book, most of our mandate, as I noticed, is that promotion, how to do with promotion, and in this area of promotion, we can develop policies, programs, and strategies. There is a plus, of course. It's not totally promotion, because you can then put the element of protections there. That's why I put protection there as a question mark. It's not completely, we don't do protection, but we do protections in a different way. There is no direct protection in our mandate. So advisory, yes, we have advocacy, assisting, and encouraging. It's all in the mandate. So it is within this framework that ACWC will work. Having that mandate, now we go to challenges. Okay. Now, what we find after working, trafficking is one of the human rights mechanism in ASEAN. So when we formulated our work plan we formulated. So we identified trafficking is one of the areas that we should look into. Our mandate is related to women and children only. AICHR has a bigger in terms of the scope, but we are more focused on women and children. So we look into it and we ask the question, should ACWC touch on trafficking? When there are Slom PC there are songs there is another one, the one with the ASEAN body dealing with narcotics. They also touch on trafficking. There is assault, ASEAN senior officials on drugs. So they are there. But then we look around globally and around the region, in the region itself, women and children are the biggest being affected by trafficking, the trafficking problem. So we said, yeah, this must be one of our thematic areas that we should look into. And one of the priorities areas, and yes, in our work plan, we do have projects on trafficking. So now I would like to go to the challenges. One of this is we discussed yesterday also. We have a limited mandate in our work. We have to refer to the mandate. So our mandate is not protection, but a limited mandate on protections only. But we have wide mandate on the promotion side. So we can do also. We have tried to do it through formulations of guidelines, as well regional guidelines in harmonizing procedures within ASEAN. We hope in the trafficking work, whether it's to victims or especially on victims, whether on the prevention side, protections of the victim, or their repatriations and their integration. So that is the area we will focus on comes up in. We don't have direct mandate to investigate and all that. And another challenge is trafficking is a cross-pillar issue. ASEAN has 3 pillars, and each pillar has a number of sectoral bodies. Pak Effendi just now mentioned that, yeah, everybody doing different things within the same thematic areas. So trafficking is a cross-pillar issue. So, for everybody take ownership of trafficking issues. So now there seems to be a number of people doing the same thing. We try to collaborate now. Since 6 years is gone, we are no longer kids on the block. So ACWC now trying to focus on working together with other sectoral bodies in ASEAN. So we learn through mistakes. It's no good if it's on trafficking, an issue which is cross pillars or cross sectoral bodies issue. You have to work to collaborate with others. And we do have limited resources in trying to implement our project. So far we do get some support in terms of resources. And then the other one, the main hindrance is lack of mechanism in promoting intersectoral and interpillar cooperation and collaboration. There is lack of such mechanism in ASEAN. That's the reason why we do things in solo. When we try to collaborate, when I said meaning ACWC, we have to think hard. How are we going to do it? What do we do? If we keep having consultations, and then you will do consultations without end. One consultation after another, but nothing gets done. So one of the initiatives is having collaborative projects, and also by having projects together, it will be easier for whatever outputs of the project to be implemented, bearing in mind that it is cross pillars and cross-cutting issues. Now, I have been reminded that I have 5 more minutes. I think I can wrap up this within 5. How ACWC can be effective player with the region? That is, I don't think it needs explanation. We need to strengthen our mandate. It's timely now that we have to review our TOR this year. So perhaps we can strengthen our mandate, or, well, if we are intergovernmental body, so if they say, oh, you talk too much, now we are not going to strengthen your mandate, but we are going to weaken you. We are not sure what will happen. Okay. Now, we need capacity building, whether it's in institutional strengthening or resources. We don't have financial resources, we don't have resources in terms of manpower. Many of us work in solo, there's ACWC representatives. We get support, but not dedicated support. We get support thanks to the ASEAN Secretariat who have been supporting us very well. And like I said, partnership and collaborations, not only within the government agencies, but also with the bigger. Bearing in mind that earlier we touched on the actors, the number of actors, the CSO, the business entities. That's what we should aim to. Let's work in partnership. And that is what is my next point, is partnership with non-government actors, business communities, and civil societies. To those business communities, civil society, please come to us. We are willing to collaborate with you so that we can be more effective in our work. And that I end my presentation. Thank you.